Friends, if you want to see our previous videos, then click the channel name or picture below the video. Then go to the video or playlist option. This is Bori Critical Valmiki Ramayan book chapter 1 of 8. And press the red subscribe option and press the bell icon for my latest video updates. He knew about Dharma, was great souled and was powerful. However, he did not have a son who would extend the lineage, and he was tormented because of the lack of a son. While he reflected on this, a thought occurred to the great souled one. For the sake of a son, why didn't I perform a horse sacrifice? The intelligent one made up his mind to undertake such a sacrifice and consulted with all his pure ministers. The king told Sumantra, supreme among ministers, quickly summon the priests and all my seniors. Having heard this, the Sumantra, Raja King Dasharath minister, okay, he is Sumantra, spoke to the king in secret. I have heard an ancient account that was instructed by the officiating priests. O king, in an assembly of sages, the illustrious Sanat Kumara had earlier recounted this tale about how you would obtain sons. Kashyapa has a son who is famous by the name of Bivandaka. He will have a son who will be renowned by the name of Rishishingya. The sage will always be reared in the forest and will always roam around in the forest. That Indra among Brahmanas will not know anyone else and will always follow his father. That great souled one will observe both kings of Brahmacharya, O king. He will be famous in the world and will always be spoken about by Brahmanas. The illustrious one will tend to the sacrificial fire and his father. The time will come for him to be brought here. At that time, there will also be an extremely strong, powerful, and famous king named Romapada in Anga. Because of a transgression committed by the king, there will be an extremely terrible period of drought. It will be so terrible that all the creatures will face fear. Because of the onset of the drought, the king will be overcome by grief. He will summon Brahmanas and those who are aged in learning and address them. All of you know the sacred text of Dharma and also know about the nature of the worlds. Instruct me about the rituals and about the atonement I should perform. The Brahmanas learned in the Vedas will tell the king, O king, Vivandaka's son provides all the means. Bring him here, O king. Bring Rishishingya and honor him extremely well. Control yourself, follow the rituals, and bestow your daughter Shanta on him. Hearing their words, the king will begin to think, through what means will I be able to bring the valiant one here? Having consulted with his many ministers, the king will make up his mind with the requisite honors. He will dispatch his priests and advisers. On hearing the king's words, they will be distressed and will lower their faces. O king, we entreat you, we are scared of the rishi and cannot go there. Having thought about it, we will tell you of a means whereby he can be brought here. We will be able to bring the Brahmana here and no taint will result. Hence, the Lord of Anga will employ a quotation to bring the Rishi's son there. The god will shower down and he will bestow Santa on him. The son-in-law Rishishingya will also ensure sons for you. I have told you everything. And Shanat Kumara had said. At this, Dasharatha was delighted and replied, How can Rishishingya be brought here? You should tell me in details. Next chapter 1 of 9. Urged by the king, Sumantra replied in these words, with your ministers, hear about how Rishishingya can be brought here. The advisors and priests told Romapada, we have thought of a means so that there is no harm. Devoted to austerities and studying, Rishishingya wanders around in the forest. He is inexperienced about woman, worldly matters, and pleasure. Excessive addiction to the senses cause turbulence in the minds of men. We must make efforts to bring him to the city quickly. Let beautiful and ornamented courtesans go there. Let them honor and seduce him in many kinds of ways and bring him here. On hearing this, the king agreed to what the priests had said. Accordingly, the priests and ministers made the arrangements. On hearing this, the king agreed to what the priests had said. Accordingly, the priests and ministers made the arrangements. Hearing the instruction, the best among Courtesans entered that great forest. They stationed themselves close to the hermitage and made efforts to show themselves. The rishis Patient's son always resided in the hermitage. He was always content with his father and never ventured outside the hermitage. Since his birth, the ascetic had never seen anyone else, woman, man, or any other beings from either the city or the countryside, wandering around as he willed. On an occasion, he arrived at that spot. Vivandaka's son arrived there and saw the quotations. The women were splendidly attired and were singing in melodious voices. All of them approached the rishi's son and spoke these words, O Brahmana, who are you? Why do you conduct yourself like this? We wish to know this. You are roaming around alone in this desolate and terrible forest. Tell us, in that forest, those women possessed desirable forms, and these were forms he had not seen earlier. Affection generated in him, and he desired to tell them about his father and himself. My father is Bhivandaka and I am his son. I am known as Rishishingya because of an act that happened on earth. O beautiful ones, our hermitage is not far from here. I wish to honor all of you there, following the prescribed rites. Hearing the words of the Rishi's son, all of them desired to see the hermitage, and all of them went there with him. When they had gone there, the Rishi's son worshipped there. Here are arghya, padya, roots, and fruits for you. All of them eagerly accepted this worship. However, they were scared of the rishi and made up their minds to depart quickly. O Brahmana, take this best of fruits from us. May you be fortunate, accept them, and eat them without any delay. Full of delight, all of them embraced him. They gave him many kinds of wonderful sweetmeats to eat. The energetic one ate them, taking them to be fruit. Having always resided in the forest, he had never tasted anything like this before. They told the Brahmana that they had their vows to tend to and took his leave. The women were terrified of the father and desired to leave the spot. When they had all left, the Brahmana, who was Kashyapa's descendant, was miserable and did not feel well. His heart was in a whirl. After some time, the valiant one went to the spot where the delightful and ornamented quotations could be seen. On seeing the Brahmana arrive, they were delighted in their minds. All of them surrounded him and spoke these words, O amiable one, come to our hermitage. There will be special and wonderful rituals there. He heard all their words pleasing to the heart. He made up his mind to go, and the woman took him away. When the great soul Brahmana was thus brought, the god suddenly showered down and delighted the world. When the Brahmana arrived in his kingdom with the reins, the king advanced to worship the sage, bowing his head down on the ground. Control as is proper, he offered him argya. He sought the favor of that Indra among Brahmanas. Particular form, the anger the Brahmana would be overwhelmed him with. He made him enter the inner quarters and, following the prescribed rites, bestowed his daughter Shanta on him. The king obtained peace of mind. In this way, the immensely energetic Rishi Singha resided there with his wife Shanta, worshipped extremely well and with all his desires satisfied. Next chapter 110. O Indraman kings, listen yet again to my beneficial words. This is what the intelligent one, foremost among gods, had said. A king named Dasharatha will be born in the lineage of Ishvaku. He will be extremely devoted to Dharma. He will be handsome and truthful to his vows. That king will be friendly with the king of Anga. He will have an extremely fortunate daughter named Santa. Anga's son will be a king who will be spoken of a Romapada. The immensely illustrious king Dasharatha will go to him and say, O one with dharma in your soul, I am without a son. For the sake of my sacrifice, grant me Santa's husband. For the sake of a son and for the sake of my lineage, he will preside over the sacrifice. The king who will be controlled will hear these words and think about them in his mind, about granting Santa's husband for the sake of obtaining a son. He will grant him, and devoid of anxiety, the king will receive the Brahmana. Delighted in his mind, he will make arrangement for the sacrifice. Desiring to perform the sacrifice, King Dasharatha, knowledgeable about dharma, will join his hands in salutation and request Rishishingha, foremost among Brahmanas, for the sake of the sacrifice, for the sake of sons, and for the sake of heaven. The Lord of man and the Lord of the earth will have his desire satisfied by that foremost among Brahmanas. He will have four sons, infinite in valor. They will establish lineage and will be famous in all the worlds. This is what the illustrious Lord Sanat Kumara, foremost among gods, told in an account in an ancient times during Deva Yuga, means Satya Yuga, or great king. Let the tiger among men be honored with and broad hair. You should yourself go with your army and mounts, having heard the Shuta's word and having obtained Vasishta's permission. He left for where that Brahmana was with the residents of his inner quarters and his advisers. They gradually passed over forests and rivers. They entered the country where that bull among sages was. He approached that best among Brahmanas seated near Romapada. He saw that Rishi's son who blazed like a fire. On seeing the king followed the proper rites and worshipped him, especially because of their friendship. He was delighted in his mind. Romapada told the intelligent Rishi's son and about their friendship and relationship, and he also worshipped him. Honored extremely when in this way, the bull among men spent some time there. After having spent 7 and 8 days there, the king told the king, O king, O Lord of the earth, let your daughter Santa and her husband come to my city. There is the task for a great sacrifice to be performed. Hearing this, the intelligent king agreed to the idea of their traveling there and spoke these words, O Brahmana, go there with your wife. The Rishi's son agreed with what the king had said. Having taken the king's permission, he left with his wife. The valiant Dasharatha and Romapada were delighted. They joined their hands in salutation and affectionately embraced each other. Having taken leave of his well-wishers, the descendant of the Raghu lineage departed. He sent along swift messengers ahead to inform the citizens, swiftly make arrangement for the city to be decorated in every possible way. The citizens were delighted to hear that the king was arriving. They made all the arrangements as the king's messengers had conveyed, placing the bull among Brahmanas ahead of him, and to the sound of the blaring of conch shells and the beating of drums, the king entered the ornamented city. On seeing the Brahmana, everyone in the city was delighted. When the Indra woman with deeds to rebuild those of Indra entered, he was honored extremely well. He made him enter the inner quarters and, following the secret text, worship him. Having brought him there, he thought that his task had already been accomplished. All those in the inner quarters saw that the large-eyed Santa had arrived there with her husband. They were filled with joy. She was honored by them, especially by the king. With the Brahmana, she happily resided there for a while. Next chapter 11. We will talk about this in next video.